Oh my gosh, you guys, we have reached 20,000 subscribers on this channel. Huge milestone. Thank you to all of you, whether you've been around since the cringy Minecraft videos or you just joined yesterday. I appreciate all of you, and I'm going to answer some of your questions. Starting off, what is my favorite video I've filmed with Miles in transit? That would have to be the inexplicable Nantucket flight. For a brief period, Southern Airways Express offered a Saturday-only flight from Lancaster, Pennsylvania over to Nantucket Island in Massachusetts. It would then turn back from Nantucket and fly back to Lancaster. Again, this was only on Saturdays. It was not an essential air service flight. I emailed Southern Airways Express to ask why the heck it existed, and all they could tell me was that members of the community requested it. Shortly after I finished filming that video with Miles, the flight was discontinued and it no longer exists. Bio/background. I was born in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, grew up homeschooled. We did not have a TV in the house, but I was encouraged to really engage in creative play, a lot of building sets, drawing. I really got a very personal education from my mom. She studied education, and so she was able to teach me very well. My dad's also a math teacher, so that's my background. I also grew up loving trains, from toy trains to going to the Railroad Museum of Pennsylvania, where I got to know a bunch of the volunteers. One of my dad's coworkers was really into model trains. He got me into that. I had, a couple of different model railroads growing up, Lionel, HO scale, that sort of thing. And when I went to college and I got to start traveling independently, I really just got bitten by the travel bug, and post-COVID, I started documenting my adventures. I'm also a licensed occupational therapist, so you'll hear me talk a lot about accessibility and universal design and that sort of thing in my videos. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Calcudon, almost 2 years, and she and I were friends for quite a bit before then. We met in college. She's also from Ethiopia, so I have done a Ethiopia transit series in the past, and I will still occasionally reference that, and Calcudon's also a regular on my videos. What is my opinion on Miami's new Metro Express BRT? I am cautiously intrigued by this system. From some of the promotional videos that I've seen, it looks very robust. It definitely seems a bit more like legit BRT than some other recent attempts at running trains with buses, essentially. And I honestly would love to go down to Miami in the next couple months. Calcudon has been asking if we could do Florida to follow up on our Texas trip, and I would love to go down and check it out. I have heard mixed things about the frequency, so I am going to refrain from opining too much about it until I actually see it, because after all, the only way to find out is to go for a ride. What international transit system would you like to cover the most at this time? So the number one pick for this question is going to remain a secret for right now, because there is a decent possibility that I will actually be covering it in the near future, but can't promise anything. I do tend to make a lot of travel plans and change them at a pretty rapid clip. Other than the one I'm thinking about, I would love to go back to Ethiopia and ride the original meter gauge railway, because the original colonial railway, Ethiopia was never colonized, but Djibouti was by France, and France built a railway into Ethiopia. That original meter gauge railway is still operational, despite the newer Chinese railway also coming in. It just only operates on a small section of track from Djibouti to some smaller towns. It still uses French equipment that I believe has to be like 50 years old at this point. And it's, I think, just kind of being kept alive to serve local markets. So it's a very interesting example of this like colonial era railway surviving into the present day out of sheer necessity. I believe they're trying to turn it into a tourist railroad as well, but there was a high profile crash along the line a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know what the status is on that. Also, Ethiopia is building a new tourist railway where the rolling stock was actually manufactured in Ethiopia, and the engine is a trackmobile, and half of the passenger car is open air with a crow's nest. It looks kind of different, and I am really intrigued to see what that's like. What topic have you not covered yet and would most want to cover? So, here's the funny thing. I am really loving doing these city profiles and trip reports. I can get them out in a week, and you guys love them, and that's really keeping the channel going, and I do not want to stop doing that. But there are a few other video topics that I would love to explore that would really take more time, and if you guys really want to see these, I will see what I can do. I definitely would love to do a kind of longer documentary style video on Ameristar Rail, that company that always pops up every couple years with grandiose plans to privatize and expand the Northeast Corridor. Who are they? Where did they come from? They're like the Shen Yun of the train world. I would love to really dive into what's going on there, and make a kind of longer form documentary. I would love to do a Geography Now style show where I'd, every couple weeks, talk about the passenger trains of a country. So the first would be like the passenger trains of Afghanistan. Does Afghanistan have passenger trains? No, but they might soon, and you'll have to see why if I ever make that video. Or passenger trains of Albania, Algeria, that sort of thing. Thoughts on your T-Slim X2 insulin pump? My thought is I wish I didn't leave it in a movie theater after a showing of Fantastic Four. What is my accent? My accent is, I suppose, college-educated Northeasterner / recent experience in working in education. As you may recall, when I started the channel, I was a middle school paraprofessional, and since then I've done field work in other school-based settings. Now I work with more of an adult population as an occupational therapist, but many of them have hearing disabilities, and so I think I've kind of evolved my way of public speaking to be very over-enunciative, like I really pronounce my T's, my P's, and stuff like that. And some people have given me flack for that in the comments, but I'm proud of it. How are you liking Boston so far, and is it better than Pittsburgh? I'm sorry, but Boston is one of the greatest cities in the US. I would say second behind only New York City. Definitely beats living in Pittsburgh. Much better transit, a lot more to do, great food options, great places to explore, and it's closer to stuff. And I have a great job. I love my job. My bosses are incredible, my coworkers are really nice, it's a really healthy workplace, and they're really encouraging me to learn and grow. So I'm having a blast here in Boston, and looking forward to maybe also bringing you guys some more MBTA content in the near future. Best and worst experiences with the Frontier Airlines Go Wild Pass. In general, best experience was just getting airline tickets for $16. Day of or day before. That was pretty darn cool. Worst experience was probably what happened in Orlando. That was a whole ordeal, which I will not go into, but when I make my Go Wild recap review video, I will definitely have a lot to gripe about when it comes to that story. How often do I tend to interact with my fans? Well, I don't tend to get recognized a whole lot, but when I am, it's usually on board transit or in a station or an airport or something like that. I always love meeting my fans. If you see me, absolutely come say hi. If you see me on the MBTA, or if you see me, when I'm traveling or at an opening event at the Silver Line opening in Dallas, so many people recognize me. I don't think I've ever been recognized that many times in one day before. It was a little overwhelming, but kind of in a good way. It's like, oh, people actually like my stuff and care about what I have to say. Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to get to know you and maybe learn more about why you like transit and which of my videos you've enjoyed. Any upcoming trips planned? I am planning on attending the Federal Way Extension opening in Seattle, since my last couple of Seattle light rail videos have done weirdly well, so I feel like at this point it's kind of just a no-brainer to go out and cover yet another Seattle extension. While I'm at it, I'm hopefully going to film the Tacoma streetcar, maybe try to get one last ride in on a Talgo, and then this is just the first day of the 2-day weekend. So then I'm going to do a rather ill-advised red eye to Minneapolis to ride one of the very last North Star game day trains for the Minnesota Vikings, as well as the Minneapolis-St. Paul light rail system, maybe take Calcadon to the Mall of America, and finally fly back to Boston in one just crazy, insane, sleepless weekend. If that all works out, and it's a bunch of tight connections in December, so we'll see, then I'll have all my content for the rest of the year. If you were to add a heavy rail subway system to any city, what would it be? Addis Ababa. What question would you most dread answering? What question would you most dread answering? Why is my train late? Girl, you're on Deutsche Bahn. It would be more of an unusual and interesting question if you were to ask, why is my train on time? What is your favorite bird? As specific as possible. Also, can you see that bird via transit? Well, I've always been partial to budgies. I really wanted a budgie as a kid, and I really wanted to teach it how to talk and that sort of thing, and that never really panned out. But I want to see, where are budgies from? Let me Google this. Aha, they are from Australia, where they live in the wild across the drier inland grasslands and woodlands. So I suppose if you count the Indian Pacific as transit, then I can go to see budgies by transit. Or I could take the MBTA to the nearest PetSmart. Favorite clock? And this person goes on to list quite a few types of clocks, some of which I have never heard of before. I would have to say the Chimes Tower at Longwood Gardens near Philadelphia, since that's basically a giant timepiece. It's a giant tower built by an obscenely rich guy that's full of cast bronze bells that chime, when it is specific times. Which town has the most underestimated transit? Buffalo. If I had to drive a car daily, which make and model would I choose? I mean, I don't know that much about cars. If it was more of a budget thing, then something practical, probably Toyota or Hyundai. If I had more money, then hopefully something electric. I love the idea of like pressing down the accelerator and just quickly and silently accelerating. This isn't quite as much for environmental reasons, although I'm sure that's a factor as well. It's more just because I like electric trains more than diesel trains, and I would love to have that same kind of power under my own control as a driver. What technology do I use? So I have a funny rule with myself where I tend to splurge on technology that is directly related to my creative endeavors and skimp on everything else. So I have a nice computer. I have a MacBook Air. It's got about 1 terabyte of storage on board, and it was a graduation gift. Got it new about 6 months ago. I also have a microphone, which I'm not entirely sure what model it is off the top of my head, but I got it about a year ago, and it got some good reviews. So that's that. Of course, I use a GoPro Hero 12 to shoot my videos, and that's really all of my nice tech. Besides that, I just use whatever is cheap and functional. I have been using a rotating set of earbuds from Five Below that routinely only cost about $5 to $10 each, and just whenever they break or whenever I lose them, I just get another set. I use that to edit most of my videos these days as I'm commuting to and from work. So if there's any Classy Whale video that you've watched in the last couple of months, I definitely edited it using cheap earbuds from Five Below. I also use a rotating set of used phones from Back Market. I currently use a Google Pixel 6. It was about $150 on Back Market, and I got it after I dropped my previous Google Pixel 6 on some asphalt and completely destroyed it. So I also have this weird allergy to buying phone cases. I don't know why. It's truly a problem. I just never get around to it, and then I break my phone, and then I buy another one. But, that's partly why I buy really cheap electronics for that sort of thing. What is my favorite make/model of bus? I would probably have to say a Foothill Transit Nabby with the older reclined seats and good bike racks on the 496 to Pomona. And that is just some of your many questions. I'm sorry that's all I have time for in this video, but thank you guys so much for watching and so much for supporting the channel. I'll be back with you on Thursday with some fresh new transit content, and lots more to come between now and Christmas, so stay tuned. Thank you so much. Take care.